There is an urgent need for cybersecurity, especially for young Nigerians who live and breathe the internet. From phishing scams to identity theft, online fraud is evolving fast. And the big question is, are we keeping up?
You're one click away from cyber criminals.
Everyone needs to be aware of these basic things we can do to, secure our internet presence. If they want to collect some personal data from you, they simulate some attacks like I said, the phishing attack and everything. From clicking on a link, you can be taken to a platform where you input by yourself because of you are not aware. Your society, the elderly are the most prone to attacks.
Have you or someone you know ever experienced anything like a scam, hacked account, or fake link?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
These aren't just random incidents anymore. They are becoming part of daily life in Nigeria's growing digital space.
Hello and welcome to 360 Youth Dialogue. My name is Juliet Omura, and like I always say, if it's affecting the youth, we're talking about it here in 360 Youth Dialogue. The International Police Organization Interpol has reported that cybercrime accounts to 30% of crime in Africa, and Nigeria has been placed as number third most affected countries facing cybercrime. Because of the critical nature of cybercrime, we will still talk about cybercrime in this new episode, because last episode we did a little bit about cybercrime, and this episode I am joined by a co-founder of Cybersecurity Education Initiative, Ayodele Oluwatobi. You're welcome to 360 Youth Dialogue.
Hi Juliet, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure being here with you today.
Thank you so much. So before we start on cybersecurity, and it's a good thing that you are from the education initiative aspect of cybersecurity, so we'll do more of awareness and all that.
Okay.
But just before then, let's take a short break, then we'll delve right in. Thank you for staying tuned, and if you're just joining, you're not late, we're still here. We just started, and we have here Oluwatobi, who is going to do justice to cybersecurity, basically on awareness, and we're focusing more on the institution and global level of cybersecurity. So let's start. Before we start, tell us about Diary of a Hacker from your initiative.
All right, thank you very much, Juliet, for that warm welcome, and it's a pleasure being here again. So, Diary of Hackers Africa is an initiative that's vetted under Cybersecurity Education Initiative, which is a non-for-profit organization that seeks to combat cybercrime and promote cybersecurity in Africa. Diary of Hackers Africa is more of a community initiative whereby we bring different cybersecurity professional enthusiasts, people just starting, professionals, we bring them together to foster a kind of knowledge sharing where we can actually grow the cybersecurity resilience in Africa based on knowledge, based on experience that has been shared within that community. And Diary of Hackers is currently going to be 5 years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so far, let's not go with the so far, but I like the fact that you're like a community sharing ideas, sharing experience, and being able to counter attacks. So you've heard the report, and I'm sure you know better about how critical cyber attacks are in Nigeria. What's your take on it?
All right, so there are different kind of attacks that have occurred.
Okay.
Yeah, so and there's different that will still happen due to evolving technologies. You made mention of Interpol's report, which was around 3,000 plus ransomware attack being targeted. So that's a type of attack, ransomware, whereby you lock your system and asks you to provide money so you have access back to it.
Really?
So we had close to 3,000 3,800 of that targeted towards Nigeria. That's why we're third. So that's a kind of attack. Now we look at digital fraud, right? Online scams, whereby people using fake identities to actually steal people financials, steal their credentials using fake identity. So there's also phishing. This is also a kind of scam where they send emails to people, luring them to give them information, and the advanced form of it is the BEC. That's the business email compromise. If you heard of Osh Poppy, so that was where he was arrested for the BEC part of things. That's a part of phishing attack. All right, so these are some of the attacks that we see out there. There's a whole lot. Right, I think I've mentioned ransomware, phishing. There's also the malware itself, whereby people go to download fake applications or cracked softwares. But now those cracked softwares are not just cracked software; they come with extra baggages, which by it leaks information from your systems to the attacker, or gives the attacker access to their system, and someone can then use that ransomware.
Interesting.
To get the idea, it's all more of a different pitfalls where you're able to fall vulnerable. They use that to increase the attack surface and keep going on the particular target. So that's some of the attacks that we've seen out there.
Interesting. I want us to talk about the attackers now. Would you say that the attack is from within Nigeria or external? Is it an in-country attack, or it's an external force against Nigeria?
Alright, so the thing about the internet and the cyberspace is that it's borderless.
Interesting.
So it's across different continents, across different nations. There's no specific to say, oh, this is the person attacking us, because we are all on the internet. If I pick up my phone, I type google.com. Google.com that returns to me is not necessarily hosted in Nigeria. Alright, so it gives room to different attackers from different parts of the world to actually attack. I'll give you a scenario. During NSAS period, where there was a disruption in Nigeria, we had people from different nations that organized an activist group called Ops Nigeria. What they did were, they were not doing the attack, but they were supplying Nigerians with weapons, or should I say tools rather.
Tools is the right word.
That's the right word. Tools. For the right word. Tools is the right word. They were providing Nigerians with tools to actually carry out cyber attack against Nigeria. So who would you say is responsible? Is it the person supplying the tool or the person using the tool? So there's difference.
So there's like a middleman providing and giving.
So what they do is, when they look at nations that are currently destabilized, and during the NSAS, Nigeria was destabilized, so they use that as an avenue. There's Ops Kenya, there's Ops different country. They just come together and say, oh, you guys are having destabilization. Okay, let's strengthen the populace, or the people that feel oppressed. Or are taking these tools. These are DDoS tool, for instance. The DDoS is a distributed denial of service. So when they use that kind of tool on your website or anywhere, it shuts down. People cannot have access to it because there's a flood of traffic going to it. So look at that scenario, for instance. Now, that is not, let's say it's not Nigerian, but the weapons are Australia. I don't know why I keep calling it weapons.
I mean the tools. Just so that we it's like alarm.
I get it. So the tools is being supplied. So that's one factor. We have different under situation. I don't know if you heard of the 774 case. When there was EFCC arrested 774 people.
Oh yes, I think.
And I think 213 were foreign nationals.
Yes, I heard.
And they were like the leaders of these organizations that are carrying.
And they were in Nigeria.
So most people around the world now are leveraging on the fact that Nigeria is seen as the cybercrime headquarters in the world. So most cyber criminals hide under the cloak.
Yeah, so they come to Nigeria and then perform their, should I say their enterprise?
Their enterprises, you get. So when they push it out there, you'll be like, oh, it's coming from Nigeria.
And then it gives us that bad name.
It keeps giving us that bad name. So we have a lot of people that might not even be in Nigeria, might be outside Nigeria, but still masquerade as, let's say, the Nigerian prince, or use Nigerian tactics and procedures and try and, let's say, defraud people. So the attack is coming from different angles. It's the cyberspace. There's no borders. Alright, it's not like a land border where you say, oh, this is the area you go, this is the state you are. So it's attack is coming from everywhere. And the funniest thing, there are times whereby some of those attacks are not deliberate. You might be an attacker unknowingly.
Really? How?
Yes. Take for instance now, you visit a, let's say, malicious website. Due to lack of knowledge, you can't download a particular software there and you install the software on your system. Then you come back to work, for instance, and you connect back to the network in this place. Now you've become the window that the actual attacker has used. So, but if they're looking at the attack chain, or let's say the kill chain, you're part of the process. By implication. So you see, it varies on different landscape, it varies on different scenarios, so the attack comes from different angles.
But does that implicate me now as part of the attackers?
No.
Like, let's say if we were to investigate the process.
Yes. There is no ignorance in the court of law. And Nigeria has we have the Cybercrime Act of 2015. I think we also have the NDPA, that's the Nigerian Data Protection Bureau, Nigerian Data Protection Act rather, beg your pardon. So these are legal frameworks that are already in place. So if investigation is to be carried out,
so I will be spared.
We can look at it and say, oh, what happened? Okay, it's you. If we then do some other further investigation to see if it was knowingly or unknowingly, I can't really say for whoever is doing the investigation, but you're just caught up in the whole
web.
Yeah, the web of things. Yeah. So
okay, let's move further to what would you say is the effort of Nigerians, the government, institutions to countering cyber crimes? What is the cybersecurity effort being made to counter these criminal attacks, especially in our institutions?
Alright, so in terms of government, I think government is doing a great job. Yeah, I must commend them. So we have seen that the Cybercrime Act of 2015 was amended of recent, and we're seeing that the Nigerian Data Protection Commission now is a body on its own. The NDPA, they're trying to enforce that the Nigerian data are actually safe. Your data is safe, my data is safe. So what they're trying to do is to ensure that institutions comply with those things like the NDPA, and also CBN, financial institutions to have their own regulations that those institutions must go by. ISO 27001, PCI DSS, the the cybersecurity framework that the CBN has already released for financial institutions. We have NCC rather, Nigeria Communications Commission, so which is also putting on their own, should I say, regulation effort within the telco space. So there's actually a lot of things that the government are actually doing, and I think still going to happen next month. The NITS, that are in partnership with UNSA, they're having the first ever national cybersecurity conference in Nigeria.
Interesting.
So which is to bring stakeholders from across board, should I say, government, financial institution, private organizations, academia, come together. Let's discuss cybersecurity. Let's look at what the future holds for us. So when we look at some of all these efforts coming in from the government, you see that there's a lot of things that they're actually doing. And I'll actually salute our government. I'm seeing more of international collaboration. Alright, so like I told you, it's not just Nigerian thing. So I'm seeing international collaboration. Yeah, so we're seeing with Interpol, for instance, with FBI, for instance, to be able to fight this menace of cybercrime. There are situations whereby cybercrime originates from Nigeria, and some of the international bodies will require our help, or should I say governments, to prosecute some of those cases. And if there's a case that extends beyond Nigeria collaborate with them to actually see how they can solve it. So there's been a lot of, should I say, strengthening of our regulatory frameworks. There have been a lot of inter-agency partnership and international collaborations that we've been seeing from the government. So I just feel they should do more in terms of awareness. Alright, so how many times do we hear about cybersecurity on the radio or from, let's say, the National Orientation Agency? So these are things that we're supposed to be educating the masses, and also some of the government Can we use civil servant?
Yes. Civil society.
I never pass that civil servant. Because most times they have this responsibility, but they're not aware of it.
Very true.
To actually safeguard our data, so they're not aware of it. So to some extent, so that's what I feel the government is actually doing a lot.
All right, we'll come back to awareness and then global partnership and all that. But globally, the world is losing 8 trillion naira or 8 trillion in a year to cybercrime. And this is aside, the traumatic experience, credentials, information being lost and all that. Who do you think is more vulnerable? Is it the individual or institutions?
At the end of the day, it's the individual that is more vulnerable. All right?
Okay, why?
Now, let me give you a recount. Let's go back to 2020, COVID-19. Remember when there was a lockdown? Yeah? You didn't have money. You had to make transfers. You had to buy things. Now, market women, small businesses, needed to adapt quickly to financial technology at that time.
Very true.
And when they were adapting, there was a knowledge gap. It's one thing for you to quickly, we're in shutdown, okay, open this one. Market women were open, okay. But there was this knowledge gap of basic understanding of how that technology works. It was an institution that provided it, but the end user is still the person using it. So now we had market women that had accounts, POSs, but didn't know the full scope of what that technology is and the risks attached to it.
Very true.
So there was an iPad digitalization in 2020 and also part of 2021 where there was cash crunch. Now you see all this window of period, people were adopting technology that they didn't understand. It was just more of a necessity for them. And these institutions are, okay, they have done the POSs and sure they have put security in place. But some of these crimes that are targeted towards this kind of people, we want to make use of their ignorance, that they don't understand the full scope of what this is, and try and deceive them to get their money. So that's why I keep saying it's still the individual at the end of the day. But looking at it from another point of view, most, I won't say most, I've seen situations whereby cyber criminals prefer to attack institutions than individuals because of bigger paydays.
Yeah, it's more lucrative.
It's more lucrative. So if I attack one person, I get this so amount. If I attack this company, I get bigger amount. But the thing is that people are attacking smaller based on their own skill set. People attacking organization are more of organized crime groups, OCGs.
Okay.
All right. So let me go back to the Hush Puppy case again. We've seen situations whereby when doing the investigation, it has different types of people laundering money, people receiving money, people creating the malware, people sending the emails. So it's a more of a different moving part. So when you look at the institutional attack, it's much more organized.
So it's not just a single person doing his own
You can't actually pull it off if you're just a single person actually, because you will need, for instance, initial access, and sometimes some of those attackers go and buy it from the dark web. Disgruntled staff might want to, they know they pay me well for this place, let me sell VPN access, let me sell my credentials, and hackers and attackers will buy it. They'll use it, and you see the funniest thing, when they buy it, they're not the one using it. Another person that was, okay, let me buy these credentials and go and use it. So it's more of an organized crime group thing. So
it's like a chain from this person to this person till we get to the whole meeting of the organization.
Yes. Let me even give you an example for that's even organization. Even down to individuals, there's still organized crime groups too as well.
Interesting.
There's a situation whereby someone misplaced his phone. That phone was divided into, let's say, two parts. One person took the SIM card, and that person took the phone.
Okay.
Selling it to different people. Now you wonder, why would someone buy a SIM card? Takes the SIM card, and what the person does is to open an OPay with that SIM card.
Interesting.
Now open an OPay account because it's quite simple. It's still your phone number.
Okay.
Use some your USSD code to generate the person NIN, BVN, register the account. Now go and log into the person WhatsApp. Then send contact / broadcast message to us contact. And now, since the account name is carrying the person's name, you will suspect. It's not going to ask you for 100 million. It will ask you for 5k, 10k. But if it does that for 10 people in your contact, that's how many? That's close to 100k. So you see, the person actually that even stole the phone is not the person that carried out the cyber attack. The person that actually sold the SIM card might not even be the person. He might go and give it to another person. Okay, I have a SIM card. Can you help me remove money from it? Some persons even use that SIM card to collect loan. Then you now see some people
oh my god, and then it's not your image, it's not your identity that
I will call identity theft.
Oh, that's so sad.
So you see, there's different variables to this. Individuals being attacked, government being attacked, institutions being attacked. It's based on what is motivating the attacker, what the end goal is for the person. Some attackers might not be motivated by financial gains. Some might just want to be motivated by political gains. The NSAS period, it's not as if they were paying some of them money. All they wanted to do is shut down government sites. Why? Because they were angry. They wanted to face the National Assembly website because they were angry. So a lot of things motivate different kind of attackers to do what they want to do. So individual institutions are all the focal points for attackers depending on what their motivation is.
But I think for me, individuals are like more of the targets because they're easy, and like you said, if they're to target institution, they have to like organize themselves, have an insider and all that. But regardless, the institution hacking still occurs, and it's like big. Because there are like institutions that would not want to come out to say, oh, we were hacked and this happened and that happened. They'd rather just conceal the matter and try to fight it. But that doesn't still take away that they have been hacked. So now let's move to AI, artificial intelligence, because we've been with the evolution of AI and how it's been a blessing to many of us. We can just quickly put on the prompt and all that. Now to cyber attack and cyber security, what do you make of it?
Cyber attack and cyber security. AI is like a double-edged sword, good and bad. AI has increased the scale of cyber attack. When I mean increased, before whereby you need to organize yourself, like we said. Now with artificial intelligence, you might not need to.
Oh, you can be a single man.
A single man, you and AI will just be chatting on how to do something bad. So there's a whole lot of AI agents, a whole lot of LLMs, generative AIs out there that actually most of these attackers are leveraging upon. I was in Morocco April for GITEX Africa. I was making a presentation on a dark stage.
So what's a dark stage?
A dark stage is a stage in GITEX Africa for cybersecurity.
Okay, interesting.
So there's a whole lot of there's fintech, there's different kind of things, there's edutech, but dark stage is meant for cybersecurity. So I was making a demo and a presentation. The more you see, the less you understand. What was I doing? I was creating a real life deepfake. You have a green screen, but with that, I don't actually need a green screen. So I can actually just manipulate images and videos in real time. I can take your face and put it on my face. I wear a wig and you think it's me. You think it's you. This is you talking. So with that, you can see that it has escalated the way attacks are. Now we have deep fakes. You can't tell what is real and what is fake. AI has blurred the line of reality. We don't know what is real again. The lady you saw that lady stuff, the one that this guy took out and someone decided to add his picture and say, oh, she's my girlfriend.
I haven't seen
this Asha stuff that I took the girl out to do some shoppings and that she denied her boyfriend, and one guy came online and said, oh, she's my girlfriend, and she denied me, and used AI to put his face with her picture. Now you're seeing things like that whereby it takes seconds. It's not like before that you need to sit down with Photoshop
And then do a lot of hard work.
or look for somebody in, maybe I don't really around area that does graphics. I'm not familiar with Abuja that much. So you see, instead of you looking for that person, you already have AI. Instead of you looking for a voice artist, you have AI. Instead of you looking for someone to write you a well-composed message, just go to AI. So AI has increased the threat landscape. It has widened the gap. And now, see our parents, for instance, they're still struggling with regular internet and digital stuff. Now AI is now in the picture. Now, you see, they are much more now vulnerable. Because my dad forwarded me something that I saw something, and when immediately I just looked at it in 5 seconds, I knew it was AI generated. They are not aware of that.
This actually reminds me of what my mom said to me, and I don't know if you've seen this AI generated. It's actually, I think people are now making a living out of it, AI TV, and then they're announcing that all single people would go to Iran and all that, and my mom actually believed it. I'm like, this is AI. So I get the point where you say there is a gap between that. So now, still back to the question of AI and cybersecurity. How can we close this gap now?
Alright, so closing the gap is still the same thing. The way the bad guys are using it, the good guys have to start leveraging on it. We still need to start putting in more effort. We have to start developing solutions that can counter these AIs. Alright, because you can't just say, oh, AI is, like I said, is a tool. Whether it's bad or good is depending on who the user is. So if we can do that with AI, then the good guys can actually do more with AI. Another use case for AI now, we have situations whereby AI are used to design malwares that if they're on your system and you have an antivirus, for instance, the AI, let's say the polymorphic malware, will write itself to invade your own antivirus without any interference. Because it's that smart. Now, we need to see where good guys are coming to use these tools to reduce the attack surface by improving threat detection. For instance, I'm trying to work on something for studies where if you're on a call, for instance, you'll be able to know if the person on the call is using AI or not. The reason why I had that clue was because there was a case in, I don't know which country, was it Saudi Arabia? $40 million. A CFO was tricked to actually send in that money. He was in a meeting with all the other C executives, but he was the only real person on that call. All the remaining ones were AI generated. So he actually thought he was giving an order from the fellow C executive, and he made a transaction worth $40 million.
Ouch.
Now, so if we have tools that say, oh, when you're on a call, it say, oh, this is AI generated, then you'll be able to know. If we have tools that can easily help us pick out, oh, this is AI generated content, it helps us to identify which is real and which is fake. Now, we still need to see whereby government putting policies in place that will now regulate the use of AI. AI for good. AI needs to be regulated because it's a tool. So if there's no, like, a little bit of, okay, how are we going to use this thing? People will just take advantage of it in whichever direction they want to go. So we still need to see a lot of people putting efforts to ensure that AI and awareness on AI. The hacking demo I did in Morocco was basically just to enlighten people that, oh, this thing is actually real. Because what I did there was I snapped somebody there and there. I went back to my system and I put back the picture there, and I just stood in front of my camera and the person's face was on my face.
And it was a video.
It was real time. Not even a video. So with that,
real time.
Yes, real time. Real time happening. After this, I'll show you some pictures. Because from that particular application I'm using, I can now move the output to any video conferencing application. You understand? So it's not just going to be on my system. I can open Google Meet. Instead of using my normal camera, I ask it to go and pick up the camera from OBS, because when I do the stuff, I pass it to OBS. OBS is now my new camera. Now my video conferencing app, whatever I'm using, now picks the video from OBS. And now show you. So you think, oh, this is this person you're talking with, real time. And voice changer was attached to it. So it is to clone your voice and make it real in real time. So we just need more people to raise more awareness about it.
I mean, we'll come back to the whole awareness and all that. Let's take a short break, and then when we're back, we'll delve more into public awareness and more on cybersecurity. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us here on 360 Youth Dialogue. If you're just joining in, I mean, you missed, but you're still early. We've had a wonderful conversation here with Oluwa Toby. I mean, he has said a lot on cybersecurity, and we just said something about artificial intelligence, and I mean, you have to be the bad guy to pursue the bad guys.
What can I say?
Very correct. So let's go down more on how porous our institutions are to this attack. How can it be handled?
Alright, so institutions now, it's going to depend on which institution, which
financial, government, all institutions, because everyone is prone to attack, be it government institution, financial institution, whatever. Even normal, someone said, as soon as you're rendering a service, you're prone to attack. So how can we handle that whole, and coupled with the fact you said AI, you have to be the bad guy to beat the bad guys.
So these attacks from different points for institutions, government, anybody on the internet is vulnerable. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When the attack will happen, not even if, it's going to definitely
It's going to definitely
It's
happen.
just a matter of time if the attacker is more invested in you and all. So I feel that we need to strengthen our own internal policies in terms of organizations now.
That's per organization.
Yeah, organization. So let me just put it in terms of, let's say, the private institution. So I'm not being specific whether financial or. So there's a need for us to have a cybersecurity policy in-house. Alright, that cybersecurity policies and frameworks will help guide our operations. Now, the thing you have to understand is that every institution, every organization, every government is only as strong as its weakest link. If I carry a chain now, this is my chain. If part of the chain is loosed and I stretch it a little, it's that particular part that is broken a little that is going to break. So there's a need for us to strengthen our internal policies within those organizations, so whereby we are having constant security monitoring within the organization, we're having security awareness training, we're having incident response training within the organization to build capacity for when these attacks will come. Alright, so when you know if an organization is resilient is how long it takes it to recover from the attack. So if an attack is to happen in 1 minute, are you able to bouncing back immediately and the likes? Let me give an example. There was a time that a ransomware group called the Black Hat attacked Bet Nigeria.
Really?
Ransomware, and asked them for close to 90, I don't know, I've forgotten the actual figures, but it was in millions of dollars. What did they need to do? They just paused operation and formatted their entire system.
So they were already ready.
They already have backup. Information security policies require you to constantly back up your system, constantly back up your entire organizational data in terms of ransomware. So maybe there was a ransomware, instead of them paying for it, they formatted everything and restored it back, and maybe the last backup was maybe 30 minutes ago or let's say an hour ago, and they are back to operations. So there's a need for us to strengthen all those policies, ensure that we train our staff within the institution to understand where the threats are, because the security guys, the IT guys are they are tech savvy, so they won't be able to fall victim. Attackers will go and target people in HR, finance, or admin that know little to nothing about the old technology. So everybody needs to be carried along. Security is everybody's business. It's a shared responsibility. It's not one man. Because if I attack you, I can attack, and if I've attacked you, then to an extent I have access to this place one way or the other, because you are always coming in here. And for the government, it's just for us to strengthen our own regulations. Now,
so how do you think they can strengthen that regulations?
Now that's the thing. You talk to stakeholders within the, should I say, country in different sectors. Right, understand where these threats are coming from. Right, then provide, or should I say, give adequate guidance to how they can protect these things. The conference I talked to you about is more of you bringing every stakeholders together for us to understand what our current threat landscape is. They will prefer solutions that will be able to ease some of those things. And the thing is that government to some extent cannot do it by themselves. And policies sometimes take time to enact, to go to assembly and the likes. So that's why there's a need to collaborate with private institutions to see how they can come up with some of these things, let them know what the pain points are, and help facilitate some of these things and improve it. Because now there's AI. I believe to some extent now there should be more of regulations geared towards AI.
Exactly.
I think some of them are already coming to life.
Okay.
But
in Nigeria.
Yeah, I feel so.
Amendments in the policies, or just
more of awakening. Okay, we are aware of these things.
Okay.
All right. So we are seeing advisory. I've seen advisory from NITDA. I've seen advisory from NGSAT. So there's this awakening that there's this threat out there. So now it's just for us to be able to put some of these things in writing and find document and say, this is how you guys are supposed to go about these things. But government might take its time. So that's why institutions, personal need to actually take our security very, very serious.
Okay, I want us to talk about the awareness now. How would you say that Nigeria as a whole, Nigeria, we are aware of cybersecurity? How would you rate the cybersecurity awareness?
Cybersecurity awareness in Nigeria. That's a very tricky question. You know why?
Why?
At some point where you think we know it all, you now see things online. CBEX.
CBEX.
These are the same people that fell victim to NMM some couple of years ago. CBEX.
And they are still
fake investment scams. Come on, those are also cybersecurity concerns. So when I feel we are getting there, you see things like this, and there are millions that are falling victim. Come on. So there's something that is in Nigerian space. I think it's just the socio-economic factor that is making us more vulnerable. People want to get things quicker, people want to get rich quicker, people want to do things quicker, so they easily fall victim. So more of gullible based on greed and the likes. But in terms of awareness, the awareness is never enough.
Awareness is never enough.
Because if I tell you something now, when we go back online, that thing has changed.
So does it mean that cybersecurity is like, should I say revolutionizing, or should I say changing? That's the word before I bit my tongue.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
Evolving, that's the word I was looking for.
The way technology evolves, cybersecurity evolves alongside with it. Technology is not staying in one place. It's not standing. So today we are talking of AI, we're talking about now we are going to agentic AIs, we are going to agent AIs, now we are looking at artificial general intelligence. Now we are having self-less drive cars that drive themselves, and they're not even in Nigeria yet. Tesla.
I saw Tesla in Nigeria.
Pardon me, when I mean they're not in
like commercial quantity.
I think I've seen that as well.
When I saw Tesla in there, I'm like, you say what?
So you see, some of all these things are things that some of people are not even aware of. Alright, so I just feel there's need to constantly do this thing, constantly create awareness. So the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month is always in October, and we at CISED are always making strides to actually educate people. We go to marketplaces. Yes.
As common as marketplaces.
Yes, common as marketplaces. We go to churches. We go to mosques. You understand? Places whereby those people are more elderly, they are not too tech savvy, and they are probably the target. SMEs, small and medium enterprises, are always the target because they are controlled by people that might not have enough knowledge or security solutions or tools to actually safeguard themselves. So security awareness, every October we do that. We even go to schools because students are not left behind. Some of the attacks, we asked about the attack previously, we have seen high rise of sextortion. whereby young people, youth are falling victim to it. I have your nude, send me money, make it.
Very true.
Now we're even having AI generated extortion. Just pick up the person's picture
and then just create
something. And now you see someone that has little, let's say, inferiority complex or is suffering from cyberbullying in school. Now see something like that and we say, we'll show it to your parent or we'll show it to your teachers, or we're paying this money. Now we take this awareness to them, because now that's a different type of attack geared towards young people.
Yeah, very true.
So you need to be able to cater for different sects. You need to be able to bring down security awareness to people based on their understanding of what is around them, what they interact with, how they use the internet. My dad might not be using the internet for too much things, but if you go to his phone, you see the amount of notifications.
Why is it that every parent have that long notification?
Because they have click accept from different platforms that they are not supposed to click. If I go to the website and the website is telling me, pop up with notifications, so that's accept notification. I won't accept notification, but I don't want to see your notification. But my dad might click okay, your mom might click okay, and you see the notification. So we need to be able to break down awareness to different individual groups and target it to them, so that they'll be able to be aware. You can't go and meet a young kid in the school and tell the person, you're into two-factor authentication. It doesn't work with them. But if I'm telling them, beware of cyber grooming, beware of sextortion, don't overshare online. So those kind of things now works for them.
The message is actually passed clearly to them. When they are brought down to their group.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And hopefully we want to see cybersecurity in our curriculum. From the grassroots. So these are kind of the policies that we are hoping that we see come to light. Cybersecurity right from primary school.
Yeah.
So that you understand the digital space you're working in.
Even from the basic.
Do you know that the world is not scary? The internet is more scarier. Because someone somewhere can just do something to somebody anywhere.
Even without meeting the person or knowing the person at all.
See, it's very scary online. Nobody plays ball outside on the street again. Nobody's supposed to read, nobody skips out. When we're growing up, everybody's outside, nobody's on the internet. Everybody's now on the internet. And do you know how many bad guys are on the internet alongside them? Someone was sharing an experience with me where she was tracking someone that was selling child pornography. FBI was tracking this person. She's a private investigator in the UK, and she was sharing this story with me. Imagine someone is selling children pornography based on the fact that they have groomed one particular child and asked the child to do some many nasty things online. And now that's why you need to start bringing this awareness to those kids and their parents and their teachers. So you see, awareness goes down to different groups.
Yes, it's not just youth, tech savvy.
It's not just the banks, it's not just the government, it's not just, everybody needs to have their own awareness tailored towards them. That's why I keep telling you that institutions should have a cybersecurity policy within the organization to train people constantly on the threats that is actually going on out there. Are you aware of the 16 billion breach?
Yes, by Google and Apple.
Yeah, not even by Google and Apple. Some of the credentials are Google, they are Apple credentials, they are Samsung, they are different organizations all together, but it was leaked. Now imagine that in the wild now. A lot of persons might not even have an idea that has happened, but their credentials has been leaked. There was a time I was doing the threat intelligence for a company based in the US, and we're gathering OSINT from the dark web. And I stumbled upon a data set, and this data set has military information, military personnel in Nigeria, MPF, let's say Navy, the Air Force, everything was there. Actually, to test the legitimacy of the data, they'll give you a sample.
Okay.
So I picked up the sample and I called one of the number there. And he rang, are you expecting this social rank and rank, this is your number. Based on the numbers were actually there. But like, yeah. I think you have been in the breach. He cut the call on me because he didn't understand what I was saying, the policeman. And I was trying to let him know that, your data has been breached, is out there.
So that brings us to to the awareness now.
Awareness. So most of them really understand. They just know, oh, we're using phones, we're using the internet, but there's a whole lot that goes on behind it that people need to be aware of. That's why when you ask me that question, there's nobody in this earth I feel that is even aware, because there's what we call zero-day attacks. Zero-day attacks are attacks that even if you don't know about it, it just happened based on the fact that a vulnerability was leveraged upon.
So is there a way that you can, should I say, predict the vulnerability or find out the vulnerability before they are being...
Guess what can do that?
AI.
So you get to the point. So now we're looking at whereby we use AI for predictive analysis to look at certain techniques, procedures. We're looking at things that some science from different should I say attack that have occurred in the past, IOCs. We look at them, we use that to formulate solutions that can now predict if an attack is going to happen. Weather forecast is already predicting weather forecast for, let's say, a year, 90 days and the likes. So now with AI now, with enough data from different attacks, we can now start predicting, okay, there's a possibility there will be a cyber attack, there's a possibility this is the route they are going to take. So organizations now can now look ahead in the future with AI to now start predicting, oh, this is what might happen, this is what might
And as they're predicting, they're like preferring solutions to counter.
Solutions to actually counter. It may happen, we don't know, but it's better for us to just go on guard.
Yeah. So I want you to say a bit on what are there really challenges to cybersecurity awareness?
Now, yes, there are challenges. Language barrier.
Language barrier, how?
Illiteracy. So let me give you an example. I was in Edo State. CISA did a project in Edo State called the Advocate for Cyber. We're trying to combat cybercrime. So we do a lot of projects in places where it's called alt zones, where there are high rate of cybercrime. So we do some of our project there to reduce youth's involvement in cybercrime. We wanted to talk to their parents in this our project because we put that bit. Notice that people are doing cybercrime. A lot of the bit of the work comes from the parents, because if you let a child lose, he might do whatever he wants to do. Now, in Edo State, they don't speak English. They speak Pidgin. Now, and I have a Cybercrime Act. I want to let them know that, oh, this thing that if you allow your son to do, this is the consequences. So our team will have to translate the Nigerian Cybercrime Act into Pidgin.
Interesting, like the entire act.
Not the entire act. We
just a segment.
Certain segment, like I said, cybersecurity channels, you need to actually tailor it. So there's no need of me telling them about, let's say, I forgot what this thing is. This 0.5%. Is the cybersecurity insurance something? So there's no need of me telling them about that. So we focused it more on things that relate to them more, and their children, if they're indulging in sextortion, cyber stalking, whatever is the content of crime in the Cybercrime Act, we now translated it to Pidgin. So you actually see the consequences. You use Pidgin English to read it. I will understand it.
Exactly.
You understand? So we did that to be able to drive awareness to that particular point whereby they will understand. We have done awareness whereby we translated to Hausa, to Yoruba, to Igbo. So that when this market men, because I told you go to, so if I'm going to the market, I'm not going to speak Queen's English to someone selling meat. You understand? So if I see, oh, okay, this is an Hausa man, okay, you start speaking with him, this is this, this is that, this is this. So that's one of the challenges. Now, illiteracy is one thing for you to tell someone something, and that thing for the person to understand it. So most of them don't even understand the concept of technology. So there's a need for us to even break it down for them to understand. And now another thing is security awareness is not cheap.
So people have to have the money.
They have to have the money, the funding to actually push these things, to meet a lot of people. You want to go on air to speak on it, you want to go on the radio, you need to actually pay for some times. Alright? So funding is actually, what do even the Bible say? Is it money is the
money answers everything.
Money answers every time. You will say keke ni keke ni. That means money is like the rules of good news or gospel. So if there's no even money, you can't actually preach. So that kind of thing. So if there's no money, you can't actually do a lot of awareness. No, you can do awareness, but the impact, it's going to be very minimal. You can do awareness now by talking to your colleagues. I can do awareness by talking to people in this building. But now we're trying to see how we can capture a whole large audience. Then there's a need for funding. So, based on Nigeria, we truly see about the technologies and how it's advancing, and language barrier is one thing, and funding too is another thing. So I think I'll just keep it with those 3 points.
Do you think social media can be used for like public awareness?
Yeah, definitely they can be used. But what do we see online? What do we see online?
We're seeing the opposite, where Yahoo boys are flaunting their wealth. So that's also public awareness to the youth, to the young people. Now they're seeing the wrong message there. But how can your initiative, how can other initiative, young people, government, individuals, how can they harness social media to pass this message? And like you said, it's not about just passing the message, but making impact with the message.
Yeah, so I've seen scenarios whereby there's a cybersecurity organization that invited a skit maker, a convert shoot cybersecurity related skit. Alright, so but that still requires funding to some extent because you have to pay the skit maker, bring cameras and props on set to actually record and put it out there. So these skit makers do the cybersecurity content. Now you see they have large followings. They have people that will be able to they are looking forward to their content. So if we have scenarios whereby we have influencers putting things out there to safeguard people, then we can actually leverage on it. And I think people are actually doing that. I've seen a lot of advisories online about it, but the question, does it get to the right people? You know, it's like just throwing your nets out there, hoping it catches a fish. So it's social media is more of throwing it out there, the internet is throwing it out there. But when you want to be very particular, then social media can work, but it's not going to be like so you are making it very direct to them. So social media is a great tool for amplifying whatever you want to amplify, be it the bad, be it the good. It's a tool. So if you have more people pushing more security content online to let people know, fine. I think it's a good way to go. And talking about the Yahoo and the things, I will say those things online, and it's quite appalling.
Yes.
That we're still in this. But when we tend to look at some of the factors, you tend to understand these things, but there's no justification for anything that is wrong.
Okay, so you said something about the tool. Now, are we looking at, now bringing it to the fact of Yahoo guys, the bad guys and the good guys, are we looking at the tool or the activities or the person behind the tool?
In what sense? What are we looking at here?
Let's say the skill, the acquisition now. The bad, should we be focused on the AI, the activities of cybercrime, or should we be focused on the person behind the activities?
Okay, I get your point now. Alright, so it's a two-way thing, and that's why our organization stands in between that two roads. Now, Sai said combat cybercrime, and also promote cybersecurity awareness in Africa. So now we're looking at the person, and we're also looking at the security awareness part of things. So we can do it both ways, look at the people and actually look at the tools. Now why I'm saying that is cybercrime is more of a psychological and societal problem than technical.
Interesting. It's more of psychological and social
problem than technical. Because now if you look at it, 2010, if you are doing Yahoo, you hide.
True.
You hide. Nobody wants to know. The moral standard back then was high.
Yes.
But now moral degradation has entered.
Yeah, they can just come out and then they are being glorified.
Their parents even support. There's a place in Ogun State whereby parents carry their children to meet Egbon Adubos to actually train them in their HK.
Interesting.
Now, are you seeing that this is a societal problem? So cybercrime is not something that we can say, oh, this is the solution to it right now. We have been trying our possible best, by providing alternative pathways to these young folks in odd zones. Odd zones are regions where there's high rate of crime. So let's take, for instance, there's a project we did in Ajegunle. Ajegunle is a place with high rate of crime. But when the internet came in, we're not seeing crime on the streets, we're not seeing crime on the internet, cybercrime. So now we go to those places and give them alternative pathways, because some of those young people, the people we target are not the people already involved, but the people that are at risk of getting involved.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is to now cut the supply chain of human resources going into cybercrime. That's how I feel we can actually reduce for the nearest future. Now, see these young folks that they are intelligent, they are smart, all they just need is an opportunity. So we give them, let's say, digital training in regards to graphics design, web development, cybersecurity, digital marketing as an alternative to cybercrime. We did that. We find out that to find work for them was hard.
Really?
Yes, because it's one thing for you to say, oh, don't do this. Now give them an alternative that can give them economy. There was not a problem, because now the whole market is oversaturated with people wanting to do tech. So we now switched it up to now do vocational skills in Edo State. So instead of doing tech, we did let's say bead making, air making, baking, shoemaking, metal works, phone repair. So something that you can easily get your hands ASAP on and start making revenue. So you see, if we are able to push in more of that within this community where there's a high rate of cybercrime, we reduce the amount of people already involved already. Then now we can now go back and now tackle the tools.
Very true. So does that mean that you said something about, because you cannot bring a lot of people into the tech world because it's already jam-packed? Does that mean that we already have like enough professional hands to tackle cybersecurity?
Not at all. Not at all. We even have it's understaffed. All right, we have a lot of shortage in cybersecurity specialties. For instance, do you know why? Because most people just want to go into tech because of tech. There's money in tech. Money.
Exactly.
So now we are having professionals that don't really understand the concept, or don't really they're not grounded. So it's not as if they're not people, but they are not qualified people. And a lot of people wanting to do tech, a lot of them. How many of them is qualified? How many of them have the willpower? How many of them have the knowledge? How many of them have the ability to actually do the work?
I mean, it's a lot. We can go on and on, but I see people giving me the hands. I mean, we've said a lot in this few minutes, but it's been a pleasure having you around, Oluwatobi. Thank you so much for your ideas, perspective, and your initiative towards bringing young people and sending the message directly to individuals and groups. I'm sure our viewers have had a wonderful time here on 360U Dialogue. Keep watching 360U Dialogue and Third Eye Africa TV. My name is Juliet Ora. Bye for now.